Hey everyone, so we're continuing on our series on heart health, and we started talking about why blacks die first, and we kind of gave you a general overview. I want to dig down a little bit into one of the key internal factors why black people tend to die more than white people. I'm speaking specifically now about Nigeria and our Nigerian diet, because there are some key things that are wrong with our Nigerian diets, and I think by the end of this session, you'll be able to see some things and be able to know enough to make some adjustments. Don't be afraid. There's some important things that will probably help you. All right. So, diet. What exactly is wrong with our diet? Well, I want to quickly take our minds back to HIV/AIDS. The discoverer of the germ or the virus was one French guy, Montagnier. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but his whole point. Why 67% of all AIDS and deaths from AIDS happens in sub-Saharan Africa. His whole point was this. He pointed to our diet not being, he used the word equilibrated. I think that's just a big word for saying our diet is not optimal to support our immune system. And he said the key is that our immune systems are not as strong. And he looked at our diet and he says that our diet is not really helping to strengthen our immune systems. Well, that makes sense. And also the fact that we're being battered by all kinds of infections, malaria, typhoid, all these things that we're having to deal with on a daily basis. Then you now add HIV on top of it. Bottom line, our immune systems are not getting the support they need. They are weaker than they should. And he said our diet isn't supporting it. So the point is, what is wrong with our diets? Because it's not enough just to say our diet is not good. Everybody knows that. Well, we don't eat well, as we should. But what are the key things we want to look at? And when we talk about heart disease, people say, okay, you need to reduce your cholesterol. Well, cholesterol is maybe one of the problems, especially when you're talking about LDL cholesterol, which is low density lipoprotein, which if you go to your cardiologist, they point to that should not be above a certain level. But that's just a piece of the puzzle. The other larger piece we are finding out has a lot to do with sugar. Sugar, not just table sugar now, but carbohydrates. Things like eba, pounded yam, tuwo shinkafa, you will be surprised, when you eat them, when you take them, they raise your blood sugars really, really, really high. And the problem with raising your blood sugar really, really high is that your body has to respond to it by producing insulin, and then it has to drive the sugar back into the cells, and then you take another place of eba in the afternoon, another place of amala in the evening, or another place of rice at night, like 12 midnight. And this continual battering of the body, giving the body so much sugar, and really it breaks down into sugar, causes the body to actually become what they call insulin resistance. Insulin resistance makes the sugar in the blood, the blood levels in the sugar levels in the blood to rise, and that really is where the problem is. When you have high levels of blood sugar, we're not even talking about diabetes yet. When we have high levels of blood sugar, it creates a situation in the body known as inflammation and can really turn things up. So on this, in some of the slides you're going to look at, we have what you call the glycemic index, how much your blood sugar is raised when you take something like amala or eba or cornflakes. And speaking about cornflakes is one of the highest. It really shoots up those blood sugar levels, so you want to be careful with cornflakes. But even pounded yam, amala, tuwo shinkafa, those other things also raise blood sugar levels. So it's important for you to know, as you're putting these things in your body, and my suggestion is, if you're above the age of 30, you need to start reducing these things and putting more nutrient-rich foods as opposed to energy-rich foods. Nutrient-rich means things like vegetables and fruits, more vegetables and fruits. But also, you need to think about putting a lot of fiber in your diet. If you can't get enough fiber in your diet, your digestive system won't work as well, and it's going to affect your cardiovascular system. So at the end of this session, I have a few do's and a few don'ts that you would do well to pay attention to. Do's, let's start with do's. I've mentioned vegetables. Take more fiber, take more vegetables. You also, if you're talking about the cardiovascular system, what we found out is that we have lower levels. Nigerians, black people, have lower levels of vitamin D3. We have lower levels of magnesium in our blood. We have lower levels of a substance called CoQ10. So I would always recommend you take more supplements that contain these things, and you can be educated about this from your cardiologist. You want to also reduce your levels of energy-rich foods. So those are the don'ts. The do's, excuse me. You want to reduce energies of your intake of energy-rich foods like eba and, rice. I know noodles. I'm not going to mention any names, but you know what I'm talking about. The don'ts, you want to avoid fried foods as much as possible. The oils that are being used to fry these foods can be very hazardous and to your health, especially your cardiovascular health. You want to avoid sodas and soft drinks, minerals, whatever you want to call them. You want to avoid artificial foods as much as possible. You want to go for live, natural foods, fresh foods and vegetables as much as you possibly can. Of course, you want to reduce your alcohol, you want to reduce your smoking, that goes without saying. And you want to reduce eating at night. So many of the times, I live in Abuja, so a lot of the times everybody wants to go out and have these big meals at night and then drink alcohol and all those things. Well, this place a huge weight, a huge burden on your system. And remember, at night time is when your body is healing and repairing and regenerating. So you want to avoid they usually recommend 7 p.m., 8 p.m. is when you want to, start winding down so you can give your body time to recover. So if you think about these points that we've just pointed out, you'll do well. See how you can adjust. You don't have to make the change immediately, but you can adjust over time and it will serve you well. Thanks.